What if 1 minute could become one of the most valuable investments you make in your brain every day? Not an hour, not an expensive program, not another supplement promising impossible results. Just 60 seconds. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you were there? Or searched for your glasses only to realize they were already on your face? Maybe someone's name slips away during a conversation, even though you've known that person for years. Moments like these can be frustrating. For many people over 50, they can also be unsettling. It's easy to wonder, is this just normal aging? Is there anything I can actually do? The good news is that your brain is far more adaptable than most people realize. While certain changes naturally occur as we grow older, research over the last several decades has shown something remarkable. Your brain never completely loses its ability to learn, adapt, and build new connections. Scientists call this ability neuroplasticity. You don't need to remember that word. What matters is what it means. It means your brain is constantly responding to how you use it. Just like your muscles become stronger when you challenge them, your brain also responds to regular practice. Today I'm going to show you one simple 1-minute routine that combines gentle movement with a mental challenge. It doesn't require special equipment. You don't need to stand if standing is difficult. You can perform it while sitting comfortably in a chair. We'll also explore why this simple routine may help support attention, focus, coordination, and mental sharpness when practiced consistently. Before we begin, I'd love to know who's watching today. Tell me your age in the comments. And answer one question. What do you forget most often? Names? Appointments? Why you walked into a room? Or where you left your keys? Reading your experiences helps build a community where people realize they're not alone. Now, before I teach you the exercise itself, I'd like to share an important idea. One of the biggest myths about aging is that memory simply disappears and there's nothing you can do about it. Many people hear this message for years. Eventually, they begin believing it. Once they believe it, they stop challenging themselves. They stop learning new things. They avoid difficult conversations because they're afraid they'll forget words. They read less. They become less socially active. Without realizing it, they begin giving their brain fewer opportunities to stay engaged. But here's something encouraging. Researchers studying healthy aging have identified people sometimes called superagers. These are individuals in their 80s and even 90s whose memory performs far better than expected for their age. What's fascinating is that many of them share similar lifestyle habits. They remain curious, they continue learning, they stay socially connected, they move their bodies regularly, they challenge their minds instead of protecting them from effort. Their brains continue adapting because they continue using them. Think of your brain like a network of roads. Every time you solve a problem, learn a new skill, practice recalling information, or even navigate a new route while walking, you're strengthening those roads. The more frequently they're used, the easier information travels. If a road isn't used for years, nature slowly begins reclaiming it. Your brain works in much the same way. The encouraging part is that new roads can still be built, at almost any age. That's why small daily habits often matter more than occasional intense effort. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Harold. Harold was 76 years old, a retired electrician. He had always been known as the person who could fix almost anything. Friends admired his memory because he could remember phone numbers from decades earlier. But after retirement, things began changing. He noticed himself searching for simple words during conversations. He forgot where he placed household items. Sometimes, he'd begin telling a story, only to lose his train of thought halfway through. His granddaughter became worried. Harold wasn't. At least, not at first. He laughed it off. "I'm just getting older," he'd say. But inside, something bothered him. He stopped joining conversations as often. He worried that people would notice his memory slips. Without realizing it, he became quieter, more isolated, less confident. During one visit with his family, his daughter gently encouraged him to start challenging his brain again. Not with crossword puzzles alone, not with complicated apps, but with short daily routines that combined thinking and movement. Harold agreed to try, not because he expected a miracle, but because 1 minute sounded manageable. That simple decision became the beginning of a new habit. He practiced every morning after breakfast. Some days it felt easy. Other days his mind wandered. Sometimes he couldn't think of enough words during the mental exercise. Instead of becoming frustrated, he simply kept going. After several weeks, he noticed something interesting. He wasn't suddenly remembering everything, but he felt mentally quicker. Conversation became easier. He found himself reading books again instead of watching television all afternoon. His confidence slowly returned. That improvement didn't happen because of one perfect day. It happened because of dozens of ordinary days repeated consistently. And that's exactly what today's routine is designed to encourage. In the next section, I'll guide you through the complete 1-minute exercise, step by step, explain why each part matters, and show you how to make it more effective over time. Now let's learn the 1-minute routine. Before we begin, I want to mention something important. This exercise is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure memory disorders. Instead, think of it as daily training for your brain, much like taking a walk is daily training for your muscles. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is stimulation. If you have limited mobility, shoulder discomfort, or balance concerns, you can adjust the movements so they remain comfortable. There is no prize for moving faster. In fact, slower is often better. Let's get started. Find a sturdy chair and sit near the front edge. Keep both feet flat on the floor about shoulder width apart. Allow your shoulders to relax. Lengthen your spine gently without becoming stiff. Rest your hands on your thighs. Now take one slow breath through your nose. Hold it comfortably for a second. Then slowly breathe out through your mouth. Do that one more time. Already you've given your brain something valuable. Slow breathing helps quiet unnecessary tension and prepares your attention for the exercise ahead. Now comes the first 30 seconds. This portion focuses on smooth movement and concentration. Lift your right arm slowly until it reaches about shoulder height. As you raise it, breathe in gently. Pause for a brief moment. Now slowly lower your arm while breathing out. Repeat the same movement with your left arm. Right, left, right, left. There's no need to hurry. In fact, imagine you're moving through water. Every movement should feel controlled. As you continue alternating arms, notice your breathing. Notice the feeling of your muscles working. Notice your posture. Your attention is becoming fully engaged. Many people underestimate how valuable focused attention is. In everyday life, our minds constantly jump from one thought to another. We're thinking about yesterday, then tomorrow, then a bill that needs paying, then something we forgot to do. For 1 minute, however, your brain has one simple job: pay attention. This alone becomes excellent practice. Researchers have found that combining physical movement with focused attention activates several regions of the brain simultaneously. Instead of one system working alone, multiple networks begin communicating with each other. That's exactly what we want. Now let's move into the second 30 seconds. Keep the same gentle arm movements. Don't change the pace. But now we're going to add a mental challenge. As your right arm rises, say the name of a fruit: apple. As your left arm rises, choose another: orange, then pear, blueberry, grapes, banana. Continue naming different fruits while maintaining your breathing and arm movements. If you suddenly can't think of another one, don't panic. That moment is actually part of the exercise. Your brain is searching, creating, exploring different memory pathways. Give yourself a second. Another word will usually appear. Remember, we're not testing intelligence. We're encouraging your brain to stay flexible. If fruits become too easy after several days, simply change categories. Animals, flowers, countries, vegetables, musical instruments, birds, cars, anything that requires gentle mental effort. One woman I'll call Margaret discovered this for herself. Margaret was 69 years old and loved reading mystery novels. Yet she had begun noticing that character names disappeared from her memory almost immediately. She became discouraged and assumed her reading days were ending. When she began practicing this routine, she chose book titles as her daily category. Some mornings she named novels, other mornings she named authors. As the weeks passed, she noticed something unexpected. She wasn't just remembering book titles more easily. She found herself concentrating longer while reading. She no longer needed to reread the same paragraph several times. Her enjoyment returned. That highlights something important. Brain training isn't only about memory. Attention often improves first, and better attention naturally supports better memory. Think about it. If your brain never fully focuses on information in the first place, it becomes much harder to remember later. Attention is often the first step toward remembering. That's why this exercise combines movement with thinking. Your brain must coordinate both at once. It's similar to learning a new dance. At first, every movement requires conscious effort. Eventually, everything begins working together more naturally. The same principle applies here. You're asking several brain systems to cooperate. Over time, that cooperation becomes more efficient. Some people ask whether they should repeat the exercise several times each day. The answer is simple. Start with 1 minute. Build the habit first. Once it feels completely natural, you may repeat it later in the day if you enjoy it. But consistency will always matter more than duration. 1 minute every day is far more valuable than 20 minutes once a month. That consistency gives your brain repeated opportunities to practice adapting. And adaptation is exactly what keeps our minds engaged throughout life. In the next section, I'll show you how to make this exercise progressively more challenging each week, the 3 most common mistakes people make, and several simple habits that may help support memory even further. Now that you've learned the basic routine, let's talk about something that determines whether this exercise remains effective for months instead of just a few days. Your brain loves challenges, but it also loves efficiency. When you repeat the exact same task over and over, your brain gradually becomes better at it. That's good, but it also means the exercise eventually requires less effort. Think about learning to drive. At first, every movement demands your full attention. Checking mirrors, steering, watching traffic, using the pedals. Everything feels difficult. Months later, many of those actions happen almost automatically. Your brain has become efficient. The same thing happens with mental exercises. If they never change, they become easier. And once they're too easy, they stop providing the same level of stimulation. That's why it's important to gently increase the challenge over time. Not dramatically, just enough to keep your brain interested. Here's one simple approach. During your first week, stay with easy categories. Fruits, animals, vegetables, household objects, days of the week. These categories allow you to become comfortable with coordinating movement, breathing, and thinking at the same time. During the second week, make the exercise a little more demanding. Instead of naming any fruit, try naming fruits that begin with a specific letter. Or think of animals that live in water. Perhaps cities you visited, or names of friends from different periods of your life. Now your brain must search more carefully. That's exactly what we want. By the third week, you can introduce simple number challenges. While continuing the arm movements, count backward. You might begin at 50 and subtract 2 each time. Or start at 100 and count backward by 5s. Don't worry if you lose your place. That isn't failure, it's practice. Simply begin again from the last number you remember. The goal isn't perfect arithmetic. The goal is focused mental effort. As the weeks continue, become creative. Name countries, bird species, movies you've enjoyed, healthy foods, family birthdays by month, books you've read, even recipes you remember from childhood. Every new category encourages your brain to search through different memories. One gentleman I'll call Victor discovered how effective variety could be. Victor was 72 and had practiced the same version of the exercise every morning for nearly a month. At first he enjoyed it. Eventually it became almost too easy, so he challenged himself. Each day he selected a completely different category. One morning he named famous inventors. The next day he listed rivers, then musical instruments, then occupations. Within days, he noticed something interesting. The exercise felt fresh again. He actually looked forward to discovering what category he'd choose next. That's one advantage of keeping the routine flexible. It never becomes boring. Now let's talk about the 3 mistakes that prevent many people from getting the full benefit. The first mistake is rushing. Some people think faster means better. It doesn't. Quick movements often reduce attention. The exercise becomes automatic instead of intentional. Remember, this isn't about speed, it's about quality. Move slowly, breathe naturally. Allow your brain enough time to process each action. The second mistake is inconsistency. Many people become excited for 3 or 4 days. Then life becomes busy, a week passes, then another. Eventually the habit disappears. Your brain benefits from repetition. Just as watering a plant once each month won't help it grow, occasional brain exercises are far less effective than short daily practice. The easiest solution is to connect the routine to something you already do every day. After breakfast, before brushing your teeth, before morning coffee, after your evening walk. Linking a new habit to an existing one makes it much easier to remember. The third mistake is allowing distractions. If the television is playing, if you're checking your phone, if you're holding a conversation, your attention becomes divided. And attention is one of the main reasons this routine works. Give yourself 1 uninterrupted minute. 60 seconds belongs to your brain, nothing else. Now I'd like to share several simple habits that work beautifully alongside this exercise. The first is staying hydrated. Even mild dehydration may affect concentration and mental performance. Many older adults simply don't drink enough water throughout the day. Keeping a glass of water nearby can become a surprisingly helpful reminder. The second habit is continuing to learn new things. Your brain enjoys novelty. Learn a few words in another language. Try a different recipe. Practice a musical instrument. Take photographs. Explore a hobby you've always wanted to try. New experiences encourage your brain to build fresh connections. The third habit is conversation. Meaningful discussions require listening, remembering, responding, and organizing thoughts. That's excellent exercise for your brain. Call an old friend, spend time with family, join a local club, volunteer. Social interaction challenges your brain in ways crossword puzzles alone never can. One woman I'll call Susan, who was 66, decided to combine all of these ideas. She practiced the 1-minute exercise every morning. She joined a weekly book club. She started drinking more water. And she challenged herself to learn one interesting fact every day. 3 months later, she described something wonderful. "I don't feel younger," she laughed. "I just feel more like myself again." That may be one of the best goals we can have. Not becoming someone new, simply feeling mentally confident enough to enjoy life fully. In the final section, we'll bring everything together, review the key lessons, and I'll leave you with a simple 7-day challenge that anyone can begin today. Before we finish today, I'd like to leave you with one important thought. Your brain is changing every single day. The question isn't whether change is happening. The question is whether your daily habits are encouraging positive change or allowing your brain to become less active over time. Many people spend years searching for one miracle solution, one supplement, one special food, one secret technique. But healthy brain aging rarely comes from one dramatic change. It usually comes from dozens of small choices repeated consistently. Think about everything we've covered today. A simple 1-minute brain exercise, gentle movement, focused attention, deep breathing, daily mental challenges, staying curious, learning new things, maintaining conversations with people you enjoy. None of these habits are complicated. Yet together, they create an environment where your brain continues doing what it was designed to do: adapt, learn, and grow. I'd like to tell you one final story. A woman I'll call Evelyn was 68 years old. After retiring from teaching, she noticed that her days had become very predictable. She woke up, watched television, prepared meals, read the newspaper, then repeated the same routine the next day. Nothing was wrong, but nothing challenged her mind anymore. When she began practicing the 1-minute routine, she decided to make one additional promise to herself. Every week, she would learn something completely new. One week, she learned the names of different constellations. The next week, she explored simple watercolor painting. Then she downloaded an app to practice beginner-level Italian vocabulary. None of these activities made her an expert. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to remain curious. 6 months later, she described something that had nothing to do with memory tests. "I wake up excited again," she said. I always have something new to discover. That sentence stayed with me because curiosity is one of the greatest gifts we can give our brains. A curious mind keeps asking questions, keeps exploring, keeps forming new connections. And those connections are exactly what help keep the brain active throughout life. Now I'd like to give you a simple 7-day challenge. For the next week, spend just 1 minute each morning doing the exercise we practiced today. Don't skip days. Don't worry about doing it perfectly, just show up. 1 minute, every day. At the end of each day, ask yourself one question. Did I notice anything different today? Perhaps you remembered a name more quickly. Maybe reading felt a little easier. Maybe conversations required less effort. Or maybe nothing seemed different yet. That's perfectly fine. Meaningful habits often work quietly before we notice obvious results. Keep a small notebook if you'd like. Write one sentence each evening, just one. Over time, you'll have your own personal record of your progress. Another helpful idea is to invite someone to join you, a spouse, a friend, a brother or sister, even a grandchild. Practicing together adds encouragement and makes the habit much easier to maintain. Many people discover they enjoy comparing categories and creating new mental challenges for one another. It turns the exercise into something enjoyable instead of another item on a checklist. And remember this: if one particular category becomes too easy, change it. Keep your brain curious, keep it guessing, keep it learning. That gentle challenge is exactly what encourages continued growth. I also want to remind you that caring for your brain involves more than one exercise. Quality sleep, regular physical activity, nutritious meals, meaningful social relationships, managing stress, keeping chronic health conditions under good medical care. These habits work together. Think of them as members of the same team. Each one supports the others. The 1-minute exercise is simply an easy place to begin. It's small enough that almost anyone can make room for it. And sometimes the smallest habit becomes the one that opens the door to many other healthy changes. Now I'd love to hear from you. Are you willing to accept the 7-day challenge? If you are, write "I'm in" the comments. When you come back next week, tell us how it went. Your experience, whether big or small, might encourage someone else to take that first step. If today's video gave you something useful, consider subscribing for more practical, science-informed ideas to support healthy aging, memory, mobility, and everyday well-being after 50. And if you know someone who's been saying, "My memory isn't what it used to be," share this video with them. Sometimes all it takes is 1 minute a day to begin building a healthier routine. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of your mind, stay curious, keep learning, and remember, your brain was designed to keep adapting throughout life. Give it the opportunity to do exactly that. End of script.